Do you have a lot of data on your computer that you would hate to lose? Family photos, vacation videos? Well, if you've got them stored on a single hard drive in your computer, it's just a matter of time before they're gone. All too often I run into friends, family, and even customers who are at risk or have lost important precious memories and data on their computer. In a digital world, it's important that we make sure to have proper backups of the data that we don't want to lose. Every single computer that you buy today comes with a setup, with the operating system installed on one drive, and usually the data on the same drive. No matter which way you look at it, there's no computer that comes with backups built in. Now, it used to be that computers came with just a mechanical hard drive. And if that mechanical hard drive failed, your data was still technically available on the platters, unless the head skipped and damaged the platter. So to recover data off of one of these drives, we can swap components in a clean room from another drive that's the same spec, same components, and same firmware. So the data itself can be recovered a little bit easier on some of the older drives. Today, a lot of computers come with an M.2 solid state drive. This drive has no moving parts, and it's a lot harder to swap components if something fails. And one of the things that's notorious to fail on one of these solid state drives is the controller, which is what allows you to actually access the data stored on the chips. If all of your data is only stored on one device and that device fails, all your data is probably gone. On a solid state drive, it can be a lot harder and a lot more expensive to recover that data after the fact. So how do you protect the data that's on your computer's hard drive? Well, far too many people that I know only have a single drive in their system. Or even if they have two drives in their system, they're actually only putting their data in one place. So let's talk about proper backup etiquette. A proper backup should have a minimum of 2 copies of that data in 2 completely separate places in 2 completely separate devices. As an example, my desktop computer has only one hard drive where I store all of my data, my photos, my videos, and everything that I would hate to lose. I then use backup software to back up that data to an external hard drive that's plugged into the computer through USB. That ensures that for every bit of data that I have on my desktop, I have a second exact copy of that data on another drive, so that if the drive in my computer fails, it's just a matter of restoring the data from my backup drive. But are 2 copies really enough? For the most part, yes, but as a best practice, you want to have a minimum of 3 copies. Now, if you have cloud storage, regardless of which provider that's through, you can then have a backup, a 3rd copy of your data stored up on the cloud. And that's really important because depending on where your computer is, for example, if there is a fire in your home or a natural disaster or a flood, that could damage your computer and make the data irrecoverable. Even if you have 2 copies of data in your home, if your home is compromised, that data may be lost forever. Things like wedding photos, photos of your children, photos of events, wedding videos, things that you want to keep precious to you. If this is your data drive and this is where all your photos and videos are kept, you need a 2nd copy of that data. And if someone tells you, well, just do a RAID array, run a RAID 1, technically if you have a RAID 1, your data is going to be on both hard drives. And if you lose a drive, the data is still accessible. You can just replace a drive and rebuild that RAID array. But the problem is if your computer fails or the RAID controller fails, then getting that data back might be a little bit of a challenge. As well, if there's an electrical failure or a fire or a flood, your data is still going to be lost. So ideally what you want to do is have your primary hard drive where you store all your data. Have an external hard drive where you create a backup and a secondary copy of that data, and then get a cloud account and store that data somewhere on the cloud. Now the cloud is really just someone else's computer or someone else's hard drive, so you want to choose a reputable supplier when choosing a place to upload all your data to. I mean, it's bad enough if you have your iCloud photos leaked because someone cracked your password, let alone gaining access to every file on your computer. So there's a couple of ways that you could achieve this. Number 1, definitely get a backup drive, an external drive that you can copy your data to locally. And you have a couple of options when copying that data. You can use just a standard file copying software, or you can go a little bit more advanced and purchase some backup software that will do the file copies for you. I, for example, use Acronis. Now, I don't like Acronis for the fact that it has all of its cyber protect and all these other applications that run in the background. You can turn off the cyber protect features, but they're always running in the background regardless of if you tell them not to. But the Acronis software is really good in the sense that you can do compressed backup, which means that if you have a really large hard drive, you actually don't need as much hard drive to store that data on your external drive. Acronis can get a little bit technical, but it's very easy to set up. Choose what files you want to back up and where you want to back them up. Acronis also has a subscription service where you can get cloud access for an annual fee. That cloud access can be 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, or more. And Acronis will allow you to automatically create a cloud backup to back up your photos, videos, or even your whole computer if that's what you're looking for. There are other services as well, like Backblaze, which have a fixed fee and unlimited storage space, so you can back up all of your data there. It's a little slower and it's not quite as good as some other competing products, but it gets the job done and it's very reputable. You can use a basic file copier to just automatically schedule and move data from one drive to another. You can even use your Google Drive account and Google Sync to just make copies of all of your files on your computer available on your Google Drive. So there's a lot of options for you to be able to back up your data. And I'm not going to go too deep into the specifics of any particular product today. For me today, it's about bringing awareness. Too many people that I know, friends, family, customers, have lost baby photos, family photos, vacation videos, things that they really wanted to keep for a long, long time, if not forever. The unfortunate reality is that we live in a digital age today. A digital age where we can take amazing photos on our phones, back them up to the cloud, but we eventually need to pay for more space. And that's kind of the trade-off. We've gone from taking photos and having negatives that could be lost in a flood or fire, and negatives where there is no backup. There's no second negative. That's the original copy. People would store them in safety deposit boxes to keep them safe. And even then, sometimes they'd be lost, or the bank would close, or there'd be a flood, and those negatives would be destroyed. Everyone takes a lot of photos today, and there's a lot of things that people don't want to lose. And the reality is, for every byte of data that you want to create, having a backup is just as important. For me, for example, if I have 10 terabytes of video on a single hard drive, I need a second hard drive that's also 10 terabytes to create a second copy of that. So every time I go out to buy a hard drive to store more videos or store more photos, I've actually got to buy 2 hard drives to make sure that I always have a backup. I'm continually having to buy more and more cloud space to store my videos and store my photos so that if something were to happen, I wouldn't lose everything. Now, if you're watching this today and you're going, well, I've never backed up my data and I've never had a problem, you're really lucky. And there's a lot of people that are that lucky. You buy a computer, you use it for 10 years, it still runs. You buy a new computer, you copy your data over, and everything's great. But don't bank on it. That one little storage drive failure that happens, either on your laptop or on your desktop, means that all those baby photos where you want to embarrass your kids at their wedding in the future could be lost. So regardless of the data on your computer that you deem as precious and important to you, it should be backed up. If you don't have a backup today, please do some research. Look into different software programs. There are some very interesting products out there for backups, but some of them can be a little bit confusing. For example, Western Digital's MyCloud Home allows you to buy an external hard drive, take it home, plug it into your network, and all of a sudden you've got a place to store all your data. Not only that, but through your phone or other devices, you can access that data through the internet. Now that's really cool. But there's something really important. There's a misconception to some of these My Home Cloud products, is that just because you can see the data on the internet doesn't mean it's on the internet. Those cloud devices are actually storing the data on an external hard drive, just like this, in your home. I had a client the other day that had moved all of their data to their MyCloud Home, thinking that that data would be protected. But when a mix-up with a power adapter occurred and they couldn't access that data, we identified rather quickly that that was the only copy of the data that they had. The perception of the product that was given to them by the people who sold them the product was that the data would be in the cloud and it would be protected. But that was actually completely false. And if that hard drive failed, they would lose every family photo and every video they've ever had. That's a really scary premise to me. And it really hurts my heart when I have customers that have lost precious memories that they can't get back. So do your research, understand where your data is being stored and how it's being used. And even more important, understand how would you retrieve that data if something were to happen. So no matter what data that you find precious to you, that you deem important, please, please, please make sure that you're creating a backup of that data. At the very minimum, create a second copy and look into getting some cloud storage as well. Yes, it costs money, but if you're going to be creating digital photos and digital content for you to share as memories as you age and as your family grows, you want to keep that data protected. So this video is a plea to anyone who doesn't have a backup plan. Please, please get a backup plan, back up that data. Because that phone call to say, please help, I've lost all my data and I don't know what to do, happens way too often. So that's really what I wanted to say today, is back up your data. That's the end of this video. I'll catch you in the next one. And please, please, back up your data.